Good morning. My name is Annabeth Mix, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Chuck Rice. Mr. Rice served in the U.S. Navy for 22 years. After 2 years in college, he joined the U.S. Navy in 1965 and went to flight training for a year and a half. His first assignment was in Barrier Air Patrol, flying F-18 fighter jets during the F-8 fighter jets during the Vietnam War. On October 26, 1977, the biggest event of his military career occurred. His F-8 Echo was shot down during a bombing mission over Hanoi. Thankfully, the ejection seat in the F-8 made it so that he only suffered minor burns on his wrist and back, but he unfortunately landed in a circle of Vietnamese troops and immediately was captured. The Vietnamese then stripped him of most of his clothes, blindfolded him, and had him crouch in front of a ditch with a gun to the back of his head, but did not shoot. He was then kept in a holding area for about 3 days and then assigned to a 7x9 cell where he would spend his next 5 years. Here is a description of the conditions chronicled in the book, Prisoner of War. I was unable to portray the actual conditions we lived under, the dimly lit rooms and claustrophobia-inducing cells, the lack of adequate food which, combined with filth, caused disease and indescribable discomfort. It is difficult to sketch a vitamin and protein deficiency that results in beriberi, and no picture of lice, heat rash, biting bed bugs, mosquitoes, cockroaches, and rats. Add this to the hostility and brutality of the guards, who had been taught from childhood to hate Americans, and the sum total is an unbelievable existence for hundreds of American fighting men who somehow survived this ordeal. Mr. Rice is one of these survivors. According to Mr. Rice, the interactions with the other prisoners were the main thing that helped him bear his 5 years in prison. After the war ended, the Vietnamese released all their prisoners in the order in which they were captured. On March 14, 1973, Mr. Rice was finally home. He showed us a picture of him on the plane with Senator John McCain. Despite going through such a traumatic experience, Mr. Rice quickly reconditioned himself and served in the U.S. Navy for 4 more years as part of a squadron that patrolled the Pacific. Mr. Rice was awarded the Purple Heart, a Silver Star, a Bronze Star, and the Legion of Merit for his service. In September of 1977, he left the U.S. Navy and began an outstanding career as a civilian pilot. He retired in 2003. Please give Mr. Rice a standing ovation for his service to our country.